The Whispering Fortress. A haunted story of Lahore Fort. There are places that become frightening because of what happened inside them. And then there are places that become frightening because, after centuries have passed, it feels as though something inside them still remembers. In the heart of Lahore stands one of South Asia's most magnificent historical monuments, the Lahore Fort, also known as Shahi Qila. Its massive walls have witnessed the rise and fall of empires. Mughal emperors walked through its halls. Soldiers guarded its gates. Courtiers whispered behind decorated screens. Prisoners waited in darkness. And generations of ordinary people lived, served, fought, and died within its walls. Today, thousands of visitors enter the fort every year to admire its architecture and history. But the courtyards become strangely quiet. The long corridors seem darker than they should. And sometimes, people claim they hear voices coming from places where no one should be standing. This is the story of one such night. It was nearly midnight when Hamza reached the Lahore Fort. He had been working on a documentary about forgotten Mughal architecture and had received special permission to film some areas of the fort after normal visiting hours. His cameraman had cancelled at the last moment. Hamza almost cancelled too. But the opportunity, so he entered alone. The old gate closed behind him with a heavy metallic sound. For a moment, Hamza stood completely still. The fort was enormous. During the day, its courtyards were filled with tourists, guides, school children, and photographers. But at night, the same place felt completely different. There was no laughter. No conversation. No footsteps. Only the sound of the wind moving through the ancient structures. Hamza lifted his camera. Recording. His voice echoed across the empty courtyard. Then something strange happened. From somewhere deep inside the fort came another voice. Very faint. Almost like a whisper. Recording. Hamza froze. He slowly lowered the camera. He looked behind him. Nothing. He waited. Silence. He smiled nervously. Probably my own echo. He continued walking. His first destination was an old corridor near one of their historic palace sections. The walls were beautifully decorated, but under the weak artificial lighting they looked almost unreal. Hamza moved his camera slowly across the walls. Then he heard footsteps. 1, 2, 3. Someone was walking behind him. He turned around. The footsteps stopped. Hamza, hello. No answer. Then. Footsteps again. Hamza spun around. Nothing. His breathing became heavier. He checked his phone. No signal. He decided to leave. But when he turned toward the entrance, he realized something that made his stomach tighten. He couldn't remember which corridor every passage looked almost identical. He walked left. Then right. Then left again. The corridor seemed to stretch endlessly. And then he saw someone. At the far end stood a man. He was dressed in what appeared to be traditional historical clothing. His back was facing Hamza. He stood perfectly still. Hamza raised his camera. Sir. The figure didn't move. Hamza took one step forward. Then another. The figure slowly turned his head. But before Hamza could see his face, the lights went out. Total darkness. Hamza dropped his camera. For several seconds, there was nothing. No lights. No footsteps. No wind. Only his own breathing. Then he heard something. A man's voice. Very close to his ear. You should not be here. Hamza jumped backward. His camera hit the floor. He immediately turned on his phone flashlight. Nothing. There was nobody behind him. But on the wall in front of him was a shadow. A human-shaped shadow. Hamza stared at it. His own body was nowhere near the wall. The shadow moved. Hamza didn't. The shadow slowly raised its arm. Then pointed toward the darkness behind him. Hamza turned. Nothing. When he looked back at the wall, the shadow was gone. He picked up his camera and ran. He didn't care about the documentary anymore. He just wanted to find the exit. He rushed through a courtyard and finally recognized the path leading toward the main gate. But before he could reach it, he heard a woman's voice. Wait. Hamza stopped. The voice had come from behind him. He slowly turned. A woman stood beneath an archway. She appeared to be wearing old-fashioned royal clothing. Her face was hidden beneath a veil. Hamza couldn't move. The woman didn't walk toward him. Instead, she raised one hand and pointed toward a dark doorway. Then she whispered, "He is still waiting." The doorway behind her suddenly became completely dark. Hamza blinked. The woman was gone. He ran. He reached the gate and began pounding on it. "Open the gate." Nothing. He hit it again. "Please." Then he heard footsteps approaching from behind. Slow. Heavy. Measured. Step. 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 Hamza stopped breathing. The footsteps came closer. He didn't turn. A voice spoke behind him. "Why did you come?" Hamza closed his eyes. He could feel someone standing only inches away. The air became freezing cold. Then something whispered, "Leave." The gate suddenly opened. Hamza didn't wait. He ran outside without looking back. The next morning, Hamza returned with security personnel. He told them what had happened. They searched the area where he claimed to have seen the figures. Nothing was there, but when Hamza checked his camera footage, he discovered something that he had never seen during the night. The camera had continued recording after he dropped it. For nearly 6 minutes, the footage showed an empty corridor. Then something appeared at the far end. A man. Standing perfectly still. His face was impossible to see. The figure remained there for almost a minute. Then he began walking toward the camera. Slowly. One step at a time. When he reached the camera, the screen went black. But the audio continued. Hamza increased the volume. At first, there was only static. Then came a whisper. "Why did you come?" Hamza listened again. And this time he noticed something else. There were two voices. The first was the man's. The second was Hamza's own voice. But Hamza had not spoken those words. The second voice whispered, "I came because you called me." Hamza never finished the documentary. He deleted most of the footage. But he kept one copy hidden on an old hard drive. Months later, he watched it again. He noticed something he had missed before. At the beginning of the recording, before he entered the corridor, there was a reflection in one of the polished surfaces. A figure was standing by, the same man from the footage. The same clothing. The same posture. And the same shadow. But there was one terrifying difference. The figure wasn't looking at Hamza. He was looking directly into the camera. As if he had been waiting for someone to record him. And as the footage ended, a final whisper could be heard beneath the static. "Come back." Today, Lahore Fort remains a remarkable monument to centuries of history. Its walls tell stories of emperors, battles, architecture, power, and the people who passed through its gates. But around such ancient places, legends inevitably grow. Visitors have reported strange sounds, unexplained sensations, shadows, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched. Whether these experiences are supernatural, products of imagination, echoes of history, or simply the psychological effect of standing inside a centuries-old fortress after dark is impossible to say. Perhaps the stories are nothing more than legends, or perhaps some places truly hold memories that refuse to disappear. Because when thousands of people have lived, fought, suffered, and died behind the same walls, who can say what remains after everyone else has gone? And if you ever find yourself standing outside Lahore Fort after sunset, listen carefully. Because beneath you might hear footsteps. And if those footsteps stop behind you, don't turn around. Because according to the legend, the thing walking behind you may already know your name,